Hello, welcome to TheSuffolkRam. Welcome to my review of Doctor Who Season 12, Episode 6, Praxeus. There may be some minor spoilers ahead. If you don't think spoiled, turn off now. So, it pretty much kicks off from the last episode. Doctor and the gang have split up. They're all investigating an ordinary mini investigation. Ryan is in Peru, investigating some dead birds. Yaz and Graham are in Hong Kong, looking at a strange alien energy source. I'm always intrigued what these alien energy sources must look like, because an energy source is an energy source, so I'm not sure what an alien energy source looks like. The Doctor is in Madagascar, investigating a missing submarine, and they each individually between them sort of find little clues into what's going on. The Doctor finds some mariner who very shortly afterwards, dies in a very bizarre way. Ryan finds some dead birds, and Graham finds something even more interesting. It then falls on a fairly, I want to be absolutely honest, a very meh episode. It's a mystery episode. It's what is this thing, what's caused it, who's caused it, why they're doing this. The actual concept that comes up at the end is quite a neat idea about and actually who they're fighting against and who the bad guy is. Isn't really the bad guy, but they're just immoral rather than outright evil. Or desperate is probably a better way to put it. And it comes across like that. That was an interesting sort of twist of idea, and what they're actually fighting not. It shares very some temperature to Order 55 in some of the area things it covers. Some of the sort of themes it's covering. However, Order 55, which was like a sledgehammer over your head of listen to this story about how bad this is not quite so bad. It actually more neatly ties in the plot line. It's an environmental storyline at the heart. It ties in a lot neater and not quite so preachy about it, not quite so overt about it, which I thought was nice, and it didn't feel like I've been told off for it. It just doesn't really gel very well. All the main sort of plot lines, although it's an interesting plot, what's caused is what it is, and how it all comes together, the plot itself is interesting. I felt that it could have been done neater with a better writer. I must say, I was very disappointed by the writing of it, actually. It just felt very bland. And the characterization of it all, the characters, they meet so many other characters in this, and they're all just a little bit, they're just all rather badly acted, just a bit uninteresting. You've got this guy as an ex-police officer, you've got an astronaut, you've got a vlogger, and they're all just rather boring. They just don't really. They feel a bit too cliche. They don't feel that interesting, if I'm honest. But they're not that cliche. They've got something, but they just don't. It's just not been written very well. It's not been. Pacing's a little bit on the far side. It's not as bad as All 55, where it just ran through like a marathon runner through a sort of, or a sprinter through a marathon. It felt like this one's a little bit better pace, but it just somehow doesn't feel quite right. It's funny how it's lots of little things are all a little bit off, rather than one thing that's being slightly well, the rest of being good. All these little things are just not quite hitting the target just right, and it's combined together to make something that feels a bit poor, if I'm honest. So I have to be honest, it's not a brilliant episode. Not as bad as All 55, not terrible, just not good. It doesn't quite reach into the good category of episodes. So, yeah, I have to say, overall, I'd say I'm not too impressed with this episode. So on to our side characters. So, we've got a bit more interesting with the guys. Yaz managed to explore a little bit more in this episode. She was able to do a bit more of her own thing, and you can tell she was enjoying the fact that she got a little bit more work to do. Graham's still fulfilling his role as a bit of a sort of comedy, which feels a bit, and some of the jokes are a little bit obvious and a bit slapstick. Ryan, he's better, but he still comes across. He's a bit better this episode, but he still comes across a bit quiet and a bit reserved and not great, if I'm honest. I mean, the main side. Let's forget the main cast. Look at the side characters. So you got this chap called Jack Willis, played by Ron Brown, who was S.I. Ripley in Luther, I think, was one. And I liked him in Luther. I thought he was good in Luther, but he's just really not great in this. In fact, none of the sort of extra cast are. I mean, I've got a list here, and I'm just looking through, and none of them stand out as particularly Oh, they were great in that. Got Matthew McNully, who was Adam Lang. This wasn't particularly into the astronaut wasn't particularly good. Joanna Borgia, who was a blogger, just not particularly interesting. They're just none of them are particularly great. I'd say disappointing across all. No one really saw shone in this episode. No one really showed up of how what they could do. All the characters were none of them particularly great. I was quite surprised whether it's just poor writing and what have you. It's not great at all, if I'm honest. So introduction now. I like the concept. I like the idea. And special effects wise, I thought the creature effects were quite neat, and there's some bird effects. You've seen the trailers, you've seen the bird's mask, and that looks really cool. But felt a little bit underused, although it's definitely I think impactful and atmospheric the way they did it. And the source sets, it looks all right. It looks okay. I thought the CGI spaceship that's in it was a little bit pants, if I'm honest. Just looked a bit okay, but wasn't particularly marvellous. And the capsule at the very start looked very CGI, very fake. It just wasn't. It just felt, again, it's just this image of everything doesn't quite work kept coming through, and I felt that when I was watching the early parts. I mean, this episode was directed by James Magnus Stone, who also directed Spyfall Part 1, which I really enjoyed. I thought it was very well done. He's also directing the final 2 episodes of the season, which will be interesting to see how he gets on with that. Written by Peter McTighe, who wrote last season, or the season 11's Kablam. I liked Kablam. I thought it was a bit cheesy, but it worked okay. It had its faults, but overall it was quite an enjoyable, fun little episode. So I was like, oh, he's one. That should be an enjoyable, fun episode. And it's such a night and day. Kablam, the characters you met in that were better characterised. You had an idea of what they were like. In this, they're not. They're just bland. So it's probably from Chris Chibnall. Whether that's some effect, because Chris Chibnall, in my book, hasn't got a great Doctor Who credentials when it comes to writing Doctor Who. So whether that was his influence there causing problems, I don't know. So. I'm not too fussed with that stuff they did. And other than that, I said most of the effects looked good, looked okay. It just wasn't great. There's a refrain theme throughout this review that it just wasn't great. There it is. So final thoughts. Definitely not as bad as All 55. All 55 was bad in so many ways. But just not very good. If I had to give it, I don't like giving scores, but All 55 would say the 40s, they actually made an episode. This would probably be in the 50s or 60s, which led to me as it's not terrible. I'd watch it again. I wouldn't feel like just skipping it, but it's definitely not going to go up there for one of the greatest episodes Doctor Who ever made. There have been some pretty stinker episodes of Doctor Who. It's definitely on the sort of lower end of the spectrum. I don't think it's terrible. I just don't think it's great. It's very similar to the previous season, actually, where every episode was okay. There were a few good ones, but mostly they were okay, and this was not brilliant in all of them. And it had some flaws, actually. There's a guy randomly just disappears for no reason and no explanation of where he's gone. I thought maybe it was a throwaway line I missed. But so I'd say overall I wasn't too impressed by Praxeus. Is it Praxeus? Yeah, I'm sure it is. I forgot the name of it. It's fine. Praxeus, yes. Overall, I wasn't too impressed by it. So very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the review. If you have, please consider subscribing to the channel. We'd appreciate it. We also have things on here. We do reviews. We do podcasts. Check out our podcast from last night, which went up last night. You can check that out. Also, me and my colleague Middlemeister discussed the first 5 episodes in a spoiler one where we discuss and have a bit of a laugh, a bit of giggle about the first 5 episode seasons. That's up. I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well, so you can witness that. But thank you very much for watching. I look forward to seeing you on a future review in next week's time. So until then, see you later.